I did not fail. I did not fail. I just need to reevaluate what I want. Hi. So, as per usual, things are not going as planned. So, welcome to, well, for you, NaNoWriMo's probably over or has only a few hours left because I am 16 hours ahead of most of you. Yeah, so most of the month has passed by in a blur of moving and paperwork and a lot of really unexpected changes in my work schedule, which has been super stressful. So amidst all of that moving stuff, writing really fell by the wayside, and under normal circumstances, my idea behind doing NaNoWriMo and just decreasing my goal was that I could still do NaNoWriMo because it wasn't that much and I was going to have downtime in my new apartment by myself. That did not occur. Because of my work schedule changing and a lot of other things, personal things popping up, I actually haven't had a ton of downtime in my own apartment. I've been kind of rushing all over the place, and the times I have had downtime, unfortunately, I have been struggling with bouts of depression, which is something I can say now because I recognize after finding my letters that I wrote to myself for 3 parts, like the first day, the first week, the middle week, and the final week. I found these. I had packed them and then lost them? I don't know. Well, I had stuffed them inside of books so they wouldn't get bent, but I didn't end up finding them, so I couldn't read them on the times I was supposed to read them, so I don't know if you'd call that a victory or not. Still kind of a loss, but after finding these today, they were in a Japanese textbook, by the way, I realized that I had done nothing today, today is really my first real day off that I've had to fully relax in my apartment, and I haven't gotten any writing done at all. I kind of slept most of the day, which is crazy because I slept most of last night too. I don't know what happened. I talked to my parents this morning and I meant to get up and didn't. I fell back asleep. I woke up for a few coherent hours where I ate something and I went to sleep again, and I didn't want to do anything. I didn't have a drive to do anything. I didn't have a drive to read. I didn't have a drive to write. I didn't have a drive to do anything at all, which is pretty concerning to me. Like, I've recognized over my years of being on this earth in this mortal shell that is kind of a warning sign that I'm having depressive cycles, especially when I don't even have the strength to brush my hair. And it's something I didn't fully realize until I dug into these letters and also realized that, hey, I haven't filmed for the final week. My schedule is really off because I still don't have internet, but I still was like, I still should film, even if I can't upload it for a bit. And then I realized, I was like, oh, I've done nothing. One of the cool things about using YouTube for me is it is forcing me to recount what I've actually done, which actually helps me realize the red flags that I'm starting to get into a depressive cycle. Now, I am not going to say that you can stop depression because I don't really think that's a thing, but I do think if you recognize the warning signs and you catch them, there are things you can do to decrease how bad it might be. There are things you can do to recognize that, hey, I'm having problems. These are some things that could aggravate it. How about we try to avoid that? Things you can do to help decrease how bad the attack might be. It might not always work, but it's something you can do. And for me, I don't want to have a giant write-a-thon at all. Not really. I mean, I kind of do. In a sick way. There's a sick writer part of me deep inside that's like, I can get a lot of work done, and I was really excited about the concept. But the other side of me is like, but sleep though. And the sleep though part has been winning for most of the month. The times I haven't been working and cleaning my new apartment and all over the place in Japan, I've been sleeping, and probably sleeping too much. And one of the reasons I've been doing that is because my head is just so full and I feel so emotionally and physically drained. I just don't want to have my brain on anymore. Sleep is a way to shut down, and that's not healthy. So yeah, we're gonna try to write what we can. Can I do 20,000 words in 24 hours? Probably not, but I'm going to do what I can, which is what's important. And my whole goal was just to get further, ideally to finish Clock Strikes, but at the very least, if I can get past the Dark Night of the Soul, I'll be happy. But first, let's read what my past self had to say, because apparently I had 3 letters, and I remember picking themes, like key words to write the letters about for each week, so I don't fully remember. I think I know what the final one is, but I'm not for sure. This first week, keywords are, oh, interesting, perspective. A difference in perspective is needed for your story. While this may be where your MC currently is in your story, seeing the world situation themselves in a whole new way, don't forget you can apply it to you as well. Your first week of Camp Nano is also your first steps into a place of your own. The first time a place will truly be yours. I don't remember writing these. What, my handwriting, what is this? The perspective you have of home and happiness will be turned upside down. Find freedom in the new perspective and embrace it. Huh. That's interesting. I did have a lot of contemplation I did when it came to my first week of kind of being here, which ended up not being the week I moved in. The week I moved in, I dropped stuff off and I didn't have a bed, so I actually still stayed with a friend for a while. So the first full week I was here was actually the next letter I'll open, which was the middle of the month. But this was kind of interesting because I was starting to, like, the idea of home and my home base was starting to form in my brain, and I was trying to figure out, like, it hadn't fully hit me that I'm here in Japan, and like this is my home now, but it was starting to be born in my head, so that's interesting. My middle of the month. Oh, isolation. Welcome to the midway point. Here you're growing tired and perhaps feeling like you are shutting others out for your own journey's sake. This part does feel lonely, crushingly so, but hold your light up no matter how dim it's become and keep seeking answers. The path for you and your characters is there in the dark. You have the tools you need, trust your instinct, and keep moving ahead, digging deeper into the truth of the world you've made. I was so tired that middle part of the month. The middle part of the month is when a lot of things hit the fan very, very quickly. A friend of mine went through surgery, and I was trying to get this place together right before the harsher lockdowns. We are not really in a lockdown here in Japan. It's just a very strong advisory from the government, which is pretty much the equivalent of a lockdown over here because people actually listen to government officials here in Japan. So people are following directions for the most part. But like that, all of this happened right before that occurred. So there were warning signs of, hey, everyone needs to stay indoors. So I was able to get a few things from my apartment right before that happened and businesses started shutting down. So this is interesting. The fact that isolation were the words I chose, like these words were chosen way before a lot of this stuff happened at the beginning of actually the end of March. I wrote these at the end of March. It's now the end of April. It's been a full month. That's kind of crazy. So that's really interesting. The last one, this was supposed to be for my final week, which is this. Actually, it's the final 24 hours, but it's the same difference. So this one is rules and regulations. You are so close to victory. No, I'm not. To claiming full power over the story and challenge. What's needed here is a firm hand of regulation and rules. It's easy to grow lazy when the finish line is nearby, be it because you're so close to your goal or because you're so far you've given up. Both are not correct. The wealth and power lies in the journey and discipline, not just the end result. Apply yourself diligently, be ruler of your time and energy, and the proper ending will await you. Like, I seriously don't remember writing these. I wasn't drunk. I'm pretty sure I wasn't drunk when I wrote these. Pretty sure, because I don't really drink. But I'm wondering if I had like a strong, which is like 9% alcohol here in Japan. I'm wondering if I had one of those strongs that Mick likes, because this was way before her surgery. So I'm wondering if I had one of those because I don't remember writing these. That's really interesting. The wealth and power lies in the journey and discipline, not the end result. I think trying to think about why NaNoWriMo is so important to me. I think one of the reasons I keep trying to do it over and over, even when my life is so chaotic and I probably advisably should not be doing NaNoWriMo, I think the reason for that is simply because I am so scared of reverting back to what I was before. I'm so scared of reverting back to the person that kept saying she was going to write but never actually wrote. But the reality of my situation is my life is moving very rapidly and I've got a lot of things on my plate and I'm living in a foreign nation, and although that doesn't mean I can't write, it does mean I have a lot more on my plate than I had when I was in the United States. And I can't really compare what I'm doing right now to what I used to do then, because the two really aren't comparable. I'm in a very, very different situation where the smallest thing takes a month to do because no one knows how to do it, because it's so based on region and everyone's confused online, and directions are apparently not a thing. Like, I can't even figure out how to get my internet working here for sure. I'm gonna order a part and pray it works. I had to do special stuff to get registered for my new apartment address. No one knew how to do that. I had to go to 2 different offices. At the end of the day, I had done it right the first time, but like nobody talks about how to do it right because nobody really knows for sure online. You'd think people, like enough foreigners live here, you'd think someone would have figured it out, but no, it's so based on what office you go to and exactly where you live. So someone might post something, but like they did in Osaka, and I don't live in Osaka, so that's not helpful or relevant to me. So it's not very useful information. So yeah, doing the most basic, simplistic thing is such a complicated pain in the butt to do here. And I really need to just give myself the time and give myself the space to do that and try to relax and allow myself time to do that and not stress so much about, yes, I don't want to stop writing while I'm here, but it's okay for me to struggle trying to find my footing as a writer here, because it's definitely going to be different writing in Japan than writing in the US. Not so much because like I'm in a foreign country, so writing itself has to be different, so much as like my lifestyle has to be different. Just cooking food is different here because I don't have quick ingredients. Well, not the same kind of quick ingredients I would have in the US. In the US, I can get a hold of like some vegan chicken nuggets or something and make those in the oven real quick when I'm hungry and don't want to cook. I don't really have those options here in Japan. If I want to eat something, it's a little bit more of a struggle for me to have ready-made meals. They don't really exist for me. There are a few, but they're kind of hard to get a hold of. You don't always have access to them. So for me, the fastest meal I can get together is a pasta meal. But even then, that takes time to cook the pasta. And it's it's gonna end up kind of a little on the bland side. I don't have a ton of options unless I want to stand there and do more cooking. So in order to have like more advanced meals, I have to put in a lot more time and effort in the kitchen, and that affects a large portion of my life because I'm cooking every single meal I eat. So it's just the smallest things, just everyday living is so different for me, and so it's affected how I do everything else. My entire life has to completely alter because of where I am. I think I'm just really, really scared of reverting back to what I was, of not getting things done, saying I would but not actually doing it. And the reason I'm scared of reverting back is because I was really powerless. It was a really dark time in my life. It was very depressing because it was a vicious cycle of I wanted to write but didn't, and I beat myself up for it a lot, and it caused my depression to spiral very badly. There were times back then where I wouldn't brush my hair for weeks because I just didn't have the ability, didn't have the strength. And it sounds so weird, but if you have depression, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a nice mental spot to be in, and something I only realized after I was out just how bad it had been. Because when I was in it, I didn't realize. It was before I was doing YouTube, so I wasn't video logging myself. Now that I'm doing stuff like this, it's more obvious to me when I'm falling into those traps and getting back into those dark spots, which I can see elements of it starting, and I don't need that. I am trying. It's one of the reasons why, even though I have gotten really no writing done at all yet, and I only have like 24 hours, it's why I'm still going to try to write for NaNoWriMo right now and see how much I can crank out within 24 hours, because I need my art right now. I need to remember why I'm here, because although yes, I have a day job for bills, because of course I do, but one of the main reasons I want to be here is to become a better writer. And that's not going to happen if I just think about it, but I don't actually do it. I need to be writing. I need to write. Every time I think I don't, as soon as I force myself to sit down and start a story, and then my soul just gets sucked into the story and end up writing something amazing. I mean, amazing to me. I don't know if it's amazing to anybody else, but like, once I'm in the depth of creating something, I remember, oh my God, I love writing. That's right. I love to write. That's right. I do. And it's just, it's hard when you're in the depressive cycle because you don't feel like you love anything anymore. But I know once I actually start digging in and start getting into my writing again, I will rediscover my love for it, because that happens every time I do. But it's just hard for me right now. I'm trying to be gentle, ease myself into it, but I can't afford to not push myself right now, because for me, I'm in a kind of uncertain mental state where I'm not in danger. Don't worry, I'm not in danger. I'm not that far gone, but I am on an uncomfortable ledge of walking down a very depressing mental road. And I've recognized that I'm that close to that. And for me, writing and doing what I'm doing right now is me choosing to turn a light on. The fog is still there. I do still have to walk a path that might not be the most cheerful right now, because depression doesn't magically go away when you turn on a light. But it is helping. The light does help. It doesn't take it away, but it helps the situation. And that's what I'm choosing to do. I'm trying to do things that are lights. I'm trying to turn on some lights. I'm trying to be nice to my body, drink some tea, take a shower, wash. I will take breaks every couple minutes. One, because I sit on my legs, and that's really bad for my legs, and it hurts. I'm getting old. I know. So it'll help me stretch, but also it will pull me out of the writing for a bit to do something else that is also self-care and self-love, which will be doing a little bit of cleanup, doing a few dishes. There aren't a ton. I've actually been pretty good about it lately. Again, small kitchen, I kind of have to be good about it. Maybe making some food for myself when I get hungrier and mochi is not cutting it. So I'm gonna do my best. I got a lot of cleaning done, and I did get some rest, so I could take my meds and stuff earlier. So yeah, as I said before, I didn't try to write straight this entire time because no, I had other things I had to do today, and I knew that. And it's hard for me, it's really, really hard for me right now to not feel as if I'm slipping back into the version of myself that didn't write, that didn't get things done. I don't want to be that again. I don't want to be the person who doesn't get her writing complete. I don't want to be that person who talks about her writing but doesn't actually complete it. It bothers me a great deal because I was that person for a very long time. And while in some ways I was that person because I needed to be, there were certain things that I did have to get done in my life, and I wasn't in a healthy enough place to write. There are also times I probably could have written, and there are times that if I had forced myself to sit down and start the process of writing, I might have found my groove and really enjoyed myself, and it might have helped my depression at times, because I do think I aggravated my depression and anxiety at times because I didn't participate in my art as much as I probably should have. I do think my art helps, but I do need to sit down and do it instead of feeling so overwhelmed by the task that I don't even try. So I think when it gets this late in the game for me with NaNoWriMo, it's really, really hard to just try because it's so late in the game, and I know that it's a snowball's chance in hell of me getting anywhere near the goal, even if it's been lowered. So it just feels like, well, what's the point? But the point should never be the goal itself so much as it's, I did something, I did write, I did get further in the story than I was yesterday. Every step forward is a step in the right direction because it's moving forward. And I truly do believe that. But it is hard when you don't reach a goal you initially set for yourself. This month did not go the way I wanted it to. And I'm really struggling with that. I'm really kind of bitter about the fact that this month I feel was pretty horrible. Like, there were a few good points. My friend went through surgery and the surgery went well, so that I am extremely beyond grateful for. So there were like bright spots of things that need to get done that did get done and got done very well, and that was great. But there were just these huge expanses for me where I felt strange. Like I felt I was on this huge giant transition between two different places, and I felt like I could never really settle in any one place. I didn't feel like I had a place really, and then I started to get in the groove of like having this place, and then work was like, oh, by the way, could you just start taking work home and doing it from home? And it sounds like a great idea, but I live in a small apartment, so it means that work has now entered my personal space and I can't get away from it. And like, it's in the closet right now. I'm trying not to think about it, but like it's hovering there, and considering my workload is going to be doubling this following month in May, it's really hard. It's hard for me to find the sense of home that I feel like I really need with all of these rapid changes, and with so much being taken out of my control. I have so little control over things, and I'm starting to come around and let go and not put as much stock into that, and to relax and learn to have power in small things. Like I can have power over how clean my kitchen is. I can have power over, small victories, and just enjoying that and being okay with that, and not being so pessimistic about everything else. Slowly getting there, but it's a struggle. So self-care this month, been really hard. I do think my writing helps. I did really enjoy some of the new scenes I wrote. Like, I think it was in the last chapter. Was it the last chapter? No, it was the last chapter. I had one or two scenes where I actually really enjoyed writing them. And again, it's hard for me when I'm in a depressive cycle to sit down and start the process of writing. But once I get into it, the writing is actually really healing and really great, and I love doing it. But it's like sitting down and getting it started can be difficult for me when I'm in a really bad mental spot. But it helps in the long run. I just have to get myself to that point of getting into the writing. So it's definitely something I want to keep working on. I will continue to work on this over the next couple days. I really, really need to finish this story. I need to finish this first draft, and I still need to finish that short story collaboration with Mick. That really needs to be done. And that one's rough because I feel like I've actually completely hit a wall on that. I do not like the scene I'm in. I think I'm going to trash the entire scene and start over. I actually have to rethink how I'm going to do the conflict for that story. Because I had a rough idea and it's not panning out at all. And it's not something I want to tweak. It's something I feel like needs to be completely junked and completely redone. So those are things I need to do next month. But I do need to sit down and just write, and I need to just enjoy the process of writing, which is hard for me right now. But is something that is worth doing, and I think will help me in the long run, but I just need to do it. I'm hoping this next month, as insane as it's going to be workload wise, I do hope that I can use the golden week break that I have to just create a really firm definition between my home and my work and create some really strong boundaries between the two, so I can have writing, and this can be a sanctuary for me as a writer, and I don't feel the stress of work closing in so hard that I just shut down, which is I feel like a lot of what happened to me this past month. So I'm going to try my best to create that definition over the next couple days. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of writing in the future. Exactly how I'm going to do it is going to be a question mark. So that's what's coming up. And I've got to get internet working properly in my home. In some way, shape, or form, it needs to be working. So here's hoping I can get things operational.